and welcome back to Lady Jane Books. Today I'm doing my top thriller books of 2020. A lot of people have been asking me on social media about my top thriller recommendations. So I decided to look back into 2020 and see which books were my favorite thrillers of that year. 2020 was definitely a thriller/horror in and of itself, but I definitely think these were the most entertaining books that I read during that year. So let's get started. My first top thriller book of 2020 is The Chalk Man by C.J. Tudor. In 1986, Eddie and his friends are set to have the perfect summer. It's a summer of fun, of carnivals, and the friends even get to make a secret language that they etch out in chalk to communicate with each other. But when the group makes a gruesome discovery, their summer of fun will haunt them the rest of their lives. This was so good. I love this feeling of a coming-of-age horror story. It really reminded me of Stephen King's It. It has that same summery group of friends finding mischief type of vibe to it. It's so much fun. It is thrilling to read. The mystery is so intriguing. It gets you from the very first page. I also read this very quickly because it was so action-packed and it kept me wanting to read more and read more to find out what happened. So great. One of my favorite books of 2020. So it is definitely one of my top thriller recommendations of 2020. The next top thriller book of 2020 was Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. Grace thought that she hit the romance jackpot when she met Jack. Jack is handsome, charming, very wealthy, and incredibly accepting of all the challenges that Grace has in her life. So after they marry, Grace is so excited to start their perfect life together. Isn't she? This was so thrilling. It was really frustrating to read because you saw a lot of potential problems and mistakes and missteps. So you really got an emotional reaction from it. Oh my gosh, it was so good. There were so many red flags absolutely everywhere, and this book was so thrilling. It is a domestic thriller, so it's about a relationship and a family, but it elicited such a emotional response from me because I kept wanting to say, something's not right, Grace, you gotta wake up. And you saw all of these dynamics and these power plays within the couple. It was so interesting. I loved it. It was so good. I love having this idea of this picture perfect life that is envied by everybody, but then seeing what life is like actually behind closed doors was so shocking and thrilling. I loved it. It was so good. I really appreciated this one. It had to be a top recommendation for thriller books. My next pick for top thrilling books of 2020 is The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. Cults, mass suicides, and an abandoned child. That just happens to be the beginning of this twisted tale. I don't want to say too much about this one because it is a shorter book and it's very wrapped up in and of itself. It's very easy to give a lot away with this book, but the opening was so interesting. It begins with 3 bodies being discovered in a kitchen and an abandoned baby upstairs, and all the other children are missing and nobody has any idea what happened in this house. So this is a look retroactively about the dynamics and the who's who and how everything came to be part of this situation. This was my first Lisa Jewell book. I really enjoyed it. It had great atmosphere. Definitely a great thriller. The next book on my list for top thrillers of 2020 is The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. In 1952, the gorgeous Viv Delaney went missing. Usually punctual, reliable, and curious, Viv Delaney was the local clerk at the Sundown Motel. And one day she just doesn't show up for work and is never heard from ever again. Years later, her niece takes it upon herself to discover what exactly happened to Vivian. And as she follows in Vivian's footsteps, she realizes that she is very close to suffering her aunt's same fate. This was a very unique book for me to read in 2020. This one is kind of this thriller, supernatural, suspense, mystery mix. It's very unique. I hadn't read anything like it before. But the best way I can describe it is like a Hitchcock noir story. I saw this that it could be adapted for film. It could be this really cool black and white story. It was so good. And the way the mystery unfolded was very creative and unique. And to this day, I'm not 100% sure on what I think about it. I can't tell if it was something I really liked or if it was something that I'm questioning still. So it's a lot of fun. It's very thrilling. Perfect for a summer read. Definitely have to recommend The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. And my top recommendation for the best thriller books I read in 2020 is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. Maggie Holt is sick and tired of everybody asking her about the haunted house she lived in as a child. It does not help that her father wrote a best-selling novel chronicling the family's horrific experience within the haunted house. And now Maggie cannot escape the constant questions. So when she inherits the house and visits it years later in order to renovate and sell it, she hopes to finally be done with the entire ordeal. However, the house may not be quite ready to let her go. This was so unique. I read this for Jade DeLibra's book club last year. It was so fun. It was a 2020 release, and it was definitely unlike anything I've read before. This made me into a big Riley Sager fan. I'm so excited to read his new book, Survive the Night, coming out in 2021. And I am just thrilled about it. This book had a lot of atmosphere, a lot of mystery, a lot of questioning the reader's own sanity and ideas. The reader finds themselves questioning at every chapter what's going on in this house. And it's really written in a unique way because it's following Maggie in the present as she's working on the house, but it also flips back to look at excerpts that the father wrote in his book and chronicling what happened back then. So seeing these two timelines and trying to put together what's happening was so much fun as a reader. I absolutely enjoyed it. Definitely mind-blowing with the ending. I did not see any of that coming. So if you're looking for a really great thriller this summer, you have to check out Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. Just as an FYI, I rated most of these books as a 4 out of 5 star, with Home Before Dark by Riley Sager being a full 5 out of 5 star. And that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hello, and welcome back to Lady Jane Books. Today, I'm giving you? No, I'm not giving you. I'm just telling you. It's a difference. Forgot to set up. Hello, and welcome back to Lady Jane Books. Today, I'm doing my top... What am I doing? Oh. My first top thrilling book of 2020. There's a plane. Can you hear the plane? I can see the plane. Oh, that's a hawk. No, that's different. It's circling. Yeah. Or it's a vulture. Could be a vulture. Circling right above my window. But when the group makes a group, it's a summer of fun, of carnivals, and a secret chalk language. But when the group makes a the next book, Jack is handsome, charming, very wealthy, and incredibly accepting of all the challenges that Grace has in her life. My next top thriller of 2020. I'm not used to sitting up this straight. My back's starting to hurt. You're getting old, Jane. You're getting old. And my top 2020 thriller recommendation is The Sundown. No, not The Sundown. It wasn't. I just talked about The Sundown, Jane. Keep up with your own thoughts, Jane. Keep up. You see, her father wrote a novel relaying about the family's horrific experience in a house that Maggie lived in a short shot. Her father made a best-selling novel. Not calculate. He didn't calculate anything, Jane. If we have one ghost in this one, and then we have two ghosts, we got three ghosts in this house, I guess. Why can't I do this today? It was so great. It's incredibly unique. I highly, highly recommend Home Before Dark. Excuse me. That's enough of that.